The Sounds of Ghosts by Stu Wisson, a Big Ears Music audio production. Chapter 1, Surface Harmony, Putney, South London, present day. The hum of the studio monitors hung in the air like a low drone. Not quite music, not quite silence, something in between, something restless. Carl Blake sat behind the glass of the control room of Velvet Mirror Studios, his fingers tapping absently against a chipped ceramic coffee mug. The brew had gone long cold about an hour ago, but he hadn't really noticed. His eyes were fixed on the waveform scrolling across the screen. On the other side of the soundproof glass, Kevin was lost in the mix, head bobbing in erratic rhythm, hands twitching to a beat that only he could truly feel. The track was heavy, bass heavy, over-processed, the kind of thing that might have sounded cutting edge about 10 years ago, but now felt bloated, artificial. Carl listened with half an ear, more out of obligation than interest. The melody stuttered and looped over and over. He knew it was meant to be hypnotic, but to him, it sounded like a machine trying to remember a song it had never really learned. Kevin spun around suddenly and beamed at the control room.
"Feel that?"
he shouted through the intercom, eyes wide and bloodshot.
"That's the fucking drop, mate. Sophie. Proper industrial filth."
Carl pressed the talkback button, his voice calm but tired.
Yeah, big found.
"Yeah? Big found?"
Kevin mimicked, frowning.
"You sound like a fucking solicitor."
Carl leaned back in his chair and sipped the cold coffee, forcing down the bitterness. He didn't respond. Kevin emerged from the live room a moment later, pushing open the heavy acoustic door with his shoulder. He looked bloated in his sweat-stained Stone Roses t-shirt, an old one, stretched across a paunch that had grown more prominent over the years. His hair was thinning at the temples, and his eyes twitched slightly from what Carl suspected was a mixture of caffeine, nicotine, cheap pills, and vodka. And he started talking again.
"You don't get it anymore, do you?"
Kevin said, pacing.
That's that fire, that gut punch buzz when you know you've nailed something that'll blow the fucking crowd's mind."
Carl let the silence hang. He turned back to the mixing desk and made a minor adjustment to the EQ, just really for something to do with his hands. Kevin kept going.
"Used to be with Step 3 days straight, chasing, that one hook, one killer riff. Now it's all meetings and accounting software. I'm sucking vegan wine in the office fridge."
Carl sat the mug down.
You done?
Kevin stared.
"Done?"
Carl stood, slowly, deliberately.
"What's that supposed to be?"
I'm not doing this today.
Kevin laughed, loud and unconvincing.
"Oh, Jesus, don't start getting noble on me now."
Before Carl could reply, the door to the studio clicked open. Lucy stepped in, carrying a tote bag and wrapped in a light trench coat. Curls frizzed slightly from the rain. The room seemed to shift as she entered, like a pause in the air, a recalibration of presence. Carl's expression softened.
Hey.
Lucy smiled. Her gaze drifted between the two men. She clearly sensed the tension. She always did. Her intuition was a curse and a gift.
"Hope I'm not interrupting."
Just finishing up.
Carl said. Kevin's eyes lingered too long.
"Lacey?"
She nodded politely.
"Kevin?"
For a beat, the room was heavy with unspoken things. Carl stepped forward and kissed her on the cheek, grateful for the excuse to turn his back on his old friend. She gave him a brief look, part affection, part concern, and then stepped aside to let him pass.
"You're early,"
he murmured.
Olivia texted. "Said you forgot she's staying at Mia's tonight."
Carl winced.
Shit, I did.
No big deal. Emma's doing homework.
Lucy brushed it off. Kevin watched them from the corner, chewing on a thumbnail.
I'll be out in 5.
Carl said. Lucy smiled again, then turned to leave. Kevin's voice cut in, sharp and too loud.
Hey, Luce, how's the book club going?
She paused.
Fine, thanks.
You still reading about serial killers and haunted houses?
Carl turned.
Kevin.
She waved it off, polite but firm.
Good night.
She left, and Kevin's smile lingered long after she was gone.
You know,
He said, pouring himself a slosh of whatever was left in the bottom of Carl's whiskey bottle.
I always thought it'd be me in here, before you swooped in with your polite words and your Oxford shirts.
Carl moved quickly, snatching the glass from Kevin's hand.
Enough.
Kevin flinched, startled. He didn't expect anger from Carl, not like this.
Jesus,
Kevin muttered.
bit touchy?
Carl stepped closer.
She's my wife. She's the mother of my children. Who even look at her that way again?
And what?
Kevin interrupted.
You'll kick me out of the company? Already halfway there, aren't we?
Carl didn't answer. Kevin leaned in, lowering his voice to something conspiratorial.
It eats at you, doesn't it? That I knew her first.
Carl's fist clenched. The studio lights flickered. For a second, just a second, Carl saw something in Kevin's eyes that wasn't human. It was hunger, pure and simple. A knock came at the front entrance, one of the engineers dropping off a hard drive. Carl took the moment, the excuse, and stepped away. Behind him, Kevin smiled faintly.
You don't get it. You never really did. I gave you all of this. Every single bit. And one day seeing, you're going to remember that.
Carl didn't look back. That night, Carl drove home along Putney Hill with his hands tight on the steering wheel. The wipers squeaked across the windshield, struggling against the drizzle. The rain tapped the glass like impatient fingers. He thought about Lucy's face in the studio, how tired she looked, and Emma still afraid of the dark, and Olivia pulling further away each day. And Kevin. Always Kevin. He shouldn't have let it go this far. They used to be brothers in sound, dreamers, busking outside the Jubilee line with a second-hand guitar and a borrowed amp. Now Kevin was a storm cloud, a weight. Carl's phone buzzed in the passenger seat. Lucy. He reached for it, a voicemail. Then he caught something in the rearview mirror. A face. For a heartbeat, it looked like Kevin's, but grey, distorted, unmoving, and then it was gone. Carl blinked. The phone slipped from his hands. He turned back to the road, and the headlights of an oncoming lorry filled his vision. You have been listening to The Sounds of Ghosts by Stu Wisson, a Big Ears Music audio production. Be sure to listen out for the next chapter. Chapter 2 coming soon on YouTube and other platforms. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this unique audiobook, graphic novel, and video all in one.